Hello there, welcome in the latest edition of the SAU Football Coaches Show. I'm Daniel Gallegos, joined alongside head football coach Bill Keopple. And Coach, we're into week 2 of the 2016 season. Last week, obviously, the opening week of the season. It was a tough matchup going in. We talked about it last weekend. Not only just your opponent, but going on the road, all those elements there in college football, playing on the road. Your team comes away with a hard-fought 21-17 victory in a game to where if a lot of people were watching and listening, maybe particularly the first quarter, or maybe even parts of the first half, they may not have stuck around to see the conclusion, hear about the conclusion.
True.
And so really, it was a game, your team comes back, fights through all of that. Talk about just the overall performance of your team.
Well, obviously, you know, first football game, you're going to have some first football game jitters. We had a lot of guys, you know, playing their first college football game out there that Thursday night. To me, I'm not a real big fan of traveling on a weekday during school. You're missing a couple days of school that they don't need to miss anyhow. But we were trying to accommodate the Southwestern administration. They wanted to be able to do it, to be able to have a decent crowd because of Labor Day weekend and all that. But you know, obviously, you go into the game and Southwest is picked 4th in the league. We're picked 5th, so a great matchup. You know, every time we've played Southwestern since I've been here, it's been tough battles. I mean, they're a team that finished last season with a 6-game winning streak regular season and went to the Live United Bowl in Texarkana, so they were feeling pretty good about themselves. I mean, you know, we expected a battle, a war. I mean, and we had obviously your first game of the year mistakes, and they happened early on us and happened often actually, and you know, it was just one of those things. You can't ever put a finger on it. You really can't. I mean, you know, one bounces off Karantz's chest. It had been tipped, and obviously when a ball's tipped, it's hard to react. And bounce off his chest goes right in their hands. I mean, you know, our quarterback threw one up. He probably shouldn't. The guy makes a one-hand great catch to pick it off. I mean, we're driving in for a touchdown inside the 5-yard line, and Dejan gets kind of held up into a pile. You think they've stopped his forward momentum. Next thing you know, they pull the ball out and they're running the other direction. I mean, you know, really hard to put a finger on all that. I tell you what was so beautiful about the football game and encouraging about our football team moving forward for the rest of the year is the fact that it'd been really easy for us to sack the bats. I mean, and just say, hey, it's not happening tonight. And they didn't. I mean, our team fought, and they were not going to be denied. You never heard any bickering on the sideline whatsoever amongst teammates, which is a great sign for your football team. And so, golly, as a coach, you couldn't come out of it more pleased. I think from the middle of the second quarter on, we totally dominated the football game at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. I thought our running backs really ran it well. Our defensive line, as I already mentioned, dominated. Linebackers played well. Our secondary, we had some new guys out there in the secondary really stepped up and played some good balls. Stacy Lawrence had a really nice football game, and so you know, that was all encouraging to see.
At one point, down 17-0. That was early on in the second quarter. Finally get your first points midway into the second quarter. Michael Nunnery with a nice run, broke it for 12 yards. Talk about that, because that could be one of the many turning points, I think, in that game, just from the fact of the momentum was being stopped for Southwestern. You see points on the board. The offense, you mentioned you were going in on one drive and then a turnover and stuff like that. It was one that ended in a very positive fashion. Talk about that point of the game.
Well, you know, we had stopped them prior to that and held them to a field goal, which to me that was big. And offensively, we went back, instead of kind of getting in a panic mode, you're down 17-0, we need to throw. And it hadn't been going well in our passing game earlier in the ball game. We were able to ground and pound a little bit, and that was great to see, and very encouraging. The fact that going into the season, one of our biggest concerns was our offensive line. I mean, how was that group going to come together? We were replacing, you know, two starters there in the offensive line that had started a lot of football games here for us. So we had some people to replace there, and you know, that was all very encouraging for us. I thought that was a huge turning point in the momentum of the game. We got us some points on the board, went in at halftime 17-7. You know, they helped stoke the fire a little bit going in at halftime. You know, they had to hold them up for us to walk down the sidewalk down to our dressing facility, and they got right in behind us, coaches and players, and it was just, they were mouthing us to no end. I mean, I'm sitting there talking to the ref. I said, are you going to allow this right here? I mean, are you hearing what they're saying to us? And I think that kind of stoked us a little more. It definitely had me stoked up. There's no doubt about it. We came out of that second half, and it was all mule riders in the second half. It wasn't even close. I mean, we punished their quarterback. We hit receivers. I mean, I thought it was total domination in the second half in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a lot to be worked on. I mean, anytime you play a football game, first game of the season, you go through fall camp, how much contact are we going to have or not have? I mean, that's the $1,000,000 question for all coaches. I mean, do we want to get someone hurt in practice, or do we want them to get to the game? And you know, we had done a really nice job of that. First time I think we've ever played Southwest in an opener that we had everybody there that was supposed to be there, and that was good, and to be on the road. So. You know, all things aside, it was a game that we can look back as coaches. There was a lot to correct and get our football team's attention by the mistakes we made. But on the flip side of that, there's a lot of really good signs in our football team moving forward.
You know, to steal a term from baseball, defense, you talked about in the second half, they pitched a shutout, kept Southwestern off the scoreboard, and even going back to the first half, talking about forcing that field goal to put them up 17-0. Mm-hmm. From after that, there was nothing really Southwestern could get going offensively, and so your defense doing what they did, a lot of people would from an outside perspective would look at the program and say maybe that might be the weakness of the team. If the defense can bolster up, most everything else is there. You got that performance in the first game, and it was a game that the defense, I think, helped win and allowed the offense to kind of get back after a rocky start to get back in line, and then you kind of saw guys like Barrett Renner kind of getting back into a groove a little bit, and that was kind of evident in the composure he showed in the 2 touchdown passes. Both of them wound up being very wide open plays for scores. So talk about that, being able to know that the defense stopped them, allowing your offense to get back into a rhythm.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole thing with a football team. I mean, one night you go out there, your offense is on and clicking, and we can carry the team, and one night your offense is off, and your defense has got to pick it up. I mean, you know. Really coming out of last year, that was an area we knew we had to make some improvement in. We were a 7-4 football team, and we were giving up 30-plus points a game last year. I mean, that's hard to do. And you know, right now we feel like, and going into the Southwestern game, I feel like our defense is so much better than we've been probably since 2012 here. And we were very good in 2012 on defense. And you know, I mean, we traveled 11 defensive linemen, and 10 of them played a lot of football. And I mean, it's a coin toss who needs to be in there or not, because they're all that good, I think. And you know, our linebackers I really thought stepped up and really played some nice football. Malik Preston, Corey Jenkins. I thought Corey Jenkins had a great football game from our linebacker position. To be able to get some of the younger guys in backup roles. Dominique Scott playing his first college football was really good to see him on the field. But you know, then it really came down to our secondary. We knew going into the football game, their quarterback is. You know, I'm talking to Coach Kokenauer before the football game. I said, you know, it's a shame. Here we are, the 4th, 5th preseason ranked teams in the league, and we got the 2 best quarterbacks in the league, hands down, and we're playing game 1. And he had to agree. I mean, he felt the same way, even though he felt we should have been ranked higher than 5th. So you know, I felt like their quarterback is the 2nd best quarterback in the league to ours, and the guy can throw the football. Big, good-looking guy. And you know, played 2 years of junior college ball, went there, had a good year last year, and expecting big things out of him again this year. And tell you what, he got rattled down. He got rattled a bunch, and it hurt. I mean, he was sub 50% throwing the football, and it wasn't nothing more than our D-line was hitting him a lot. And obviously our secondary was doing a nice job covering to give them a lot of problems. But them to be able to bail us out offensively and let us get going, I mean, yeah, we did get a couple touchdown passes late. I thought they were just those kind of calls that you get from your offensive coordinator that you go, wow, man, that was perfect timing. How do you get a guy that wide open in college football? And doesn't happen very often. So, you know, that was really nice. Our guys executed. We got the ball to them, boom, touchdown. And those are all really good things to see.
Looking ahead, week 2, you got Northwestern Oklahoma. Obviously, while you're playing, you're not doing any scoreboard watching. When you get done, you see the final scores and whatnot. You see what everybody else did. They had a barn burner in Alva between Northwestern and Monticello. I mean, over 100 points combined, over 1,200 yards of offense. I mean, just offense for days. They're coming here to play. It's going to be their longest trip of the year for the Rangers. Obviously, an advantage being able to stay at home for your team, but how much can there be a takeaway from a week one like that, knowing that it's everybody's first week on both sides?
Well, you know, I mean, obviously last year they had a barn burner against UAM last year down in Monticello, and we go up there and, you know, have a pretty good performance and against them and score a lot of points, and they scored 14 against us, and so, you know, it's hard to compare. That's last year, this year, new team, all that. I mean, the good news for us, looking at it, is they're playing a lot of the same guys, and I know their guys have improved, but our guys have improved too. So, you know, obviously we're looking forward to the game this weekend. We're looking forward to being in front of our home crowd on a family day here, expecting a big crowd. Obviously, if the weather cooperates, which right now doesn't look real good. But, you know, it's a game that you, regardless of Northwestern's history, as you look at them, our guys, we got to keep a good focus. We got to look to improve ourselves and not worry about our opponent and get ready to play a hard football game. I mean, I don't care who you are in college football this day and time. If you're not ready to play, you can get beat. And I think that was very evident with last weekend, looking around the country, teams that got beat that you thought shouldn't got beat. I mean, Mississippi State's a prime example of that. I mean, to get beat by South Alabama. I mean, so if you're not ready, your guys aren't ready, and they're not really focused, and they're kind of going at a slower speed than they're capable of, now you become a lesser football team, and we can't let that happen. Our whole deal about this week is improve. Let's start improving our football team and get to where we need to be able to be to win a championship here. And pieces are in place. If we can stay healthy, but you still got to go do it. And there's some good teams on down the road in our schedule all the way through. So can't take anybody lightly. Northwest, we're going to play like it's a championship game Saturday out here, and it is. Because in our league, you're playing all conference games. All 11 of them are conference games, and every week counts just as much as the next. So we got to be prepared, and I think our guys are going to be up for that challenge. Look forward to it.
The campus community certainly is excited. First chance to see the Mule Riders at home at Wilkins Stadium, Rip Powell Field. A new look, if you hadn't been aware of that. Got new turf surface, which is down. Looks very great. An updated look and feel there. And also some new lighting on the playing surface. Excited to showcase that this Saturday. Kickoff scheduled for 6 p.m. Be sure to check MuleRiderAthletics.com for all your pre- and post-game coverage. Coach, we appreciate it. Best of luck.
Thank you, Daniel.